Hey everybody, I hope everybody is doing well today. Once again, I'm sitting here with Wild Bill, or William as I like to call him. You guys call him Wild Bill or William. Bill, you want to say hi?
Hello everybody, good to be back.
Today we're going to do kind of exactly what we did the other day. I really enjoyed that format, or non-format. I know Bill did. And it went like butter on biscuits, you know. It was just good to go, and I know I learned a lot. I hope you guys did. So with that, I'm going to ask the question. Bill, you got anything that you could, a brief encounter or hunt that you could share with us that is cleared to share?
Yeah, I'm going to share a Dogman encounter with y'all this evening that came out of Alaska, actually. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard that they've got a place up there that's called the Alaska Triangle. Lots of people over the years who went missing up there. And this Alaska Triangle covers about 300,000 square miles. And over probably the past, I think it's past 25 years or 30 years, there's been about 20,000 people go missing in this area. Anyway, we got a call, 2010, I went up there on a call, had two people that was down. We got up there, met with the highway patrol. They took us to an area and they let us see the bodies. And it was really tore up bad. And one of them was a native to the country up there, one of the state troopers was. And he called it something, I don't have all my paperwork in front of me, but it was called something, the demon wolf is what he called it. Death by demon wolf or something other to that extent is what he called it. Not exactly sure, but after I looked at the bodies, I told him it was the Dogman, and he said it was one and the same. And said that his granddad and other Native Americans up there knew of it, and said that in this area that we was in, you know, he told me all this about over the last 25, 30 years. He's the one that told me that there's like 20,000 people that had gone missing. You know, I didn't know any of this at that time when he told me all this. It was all new to me. So I was with another agent, and we took out and we started the hunt. Wasn't much snow on the ground. There was the prints, and we started. We followed them out, and on that first night, everything around us was just there wasn't even no mosquitoes, and up there, normally in the spring and summer months up there, you just get ate up by mosquitoes. And there wasn't even mosquitoes. It was just dead quiet. And we had our night visions on. There wasn't any animals around. And we was right on the water. We actually backed ourselves up to the water where we wouldn't get hit from behind. They had to come at us from either the sides or in front of us. Early the next morning, there was a bunch of howling. And we couldn't, we couldn't see them through our night vision that we was using. And it sounded like there was two sets of it coming from two different sides of us, but it didn't sound like it was really close, but didn't sound like it was that far. It sounded like it was 500-600 yards away. And I told him we'd split off and he'd go to one and I'd go the other. So we split off, and it gets daylight. Finally, it gets enough daylight, and we split off and go our separate ways. And probably about 11 o'clock that day, we radio each other. And he said he couldn't find no tracks, and I'm on mine's tracks. I'd found where mine was. And I tell him where to come to, and we meet back up. And we start trailing the three that I'd found. And that's what we'd found down there where they had attacked these people. There was 3 sets of tracks down there. And we take off and follow them. And finally, that afternoon, late in the afternoon, we spot them. And they are going away from us. They didn't even know we was behind them at this point, I don't think. And we keep pushing on. We're closing the gap on them. They don't know we're behind them at this point. And it finally gets dark. We put our night vision back on, and I keep telling them we're going to stay on them. And I take point on him, and he's behind me. We just keep trailing, and we get close enough that the forest goes quiet on us. So we're probably within a 300-yard radius of them then. And at that point, I figure that they know we're close enough to them, that they know we're there. And we start moving, just slipping along. We've slowed down at this point. We're trying to take our time, trying not to let them flank us or get behind us. And I finally spot one of them off to our far right. And I tell him just to back up to me, and we're just going to go after this one. And we know he's there. So we start heading over towards him, and we're in some pretty tall timber at this point. And as we ease over through there, I don't know what made me do it, but I just stopped and knelt down, and he did the same. And I told him, I just whispered over my shoulder. I just kind of just laid my head back, and I whispered to him, I said, they're on top of us. And about that time, both of us simultaneously looked up, and there was 2 in the trees directly above us. And we opened up on them 2, and here came the third one coming straight at us. And I took him down, and we got them 3. And it was, it was over pretty quick, and it was a simple hunt. But there was one chance that they was in the trees, that they was above us. And they was probably 25 foot off the ground when we shot them out of the trees that night. And we called for a pickup on them 3. And we went back to where we thought the others was screaming from, but we never found any more tracks. So I assumed that it was just them three, and that the others was coyotes, that he was thinking that what he was hearing was Dogman was on the other side. But, you know, it must have been coyotes, or it could have been a wolf, even wolves on the other side, because we never found any more tracks or anything to lead us to believe that it was Dogman that he heard. But, you know, that was just a real simple hunt that time. Nothing exciting, nothing out of the way, but that just goes to show you that they can and will get off the ground.
So, now the one, when you said they were in the trees, that's not a very rare thing, because I remember, about 2 years ago when I was, a year into the channel, still not knowing anything. Like I don't know anything today. I'm just still learning, like I said. I didn't think that Dogman or werewolf or, I thought Sasquatch would be in trees, but, so it's pretty common that they're in the trees,
Not often though, when we're pushing them or hunting them, will they go into trees. Not very often will they do that if we're pushing them, hunting them. Okay. These decided to make a stand. And, most of the time they'll either turn and come to us and fight us head on, or from the sides and the rear. Seldom will they make a stand like that and try to get above us like these did.
Like to ambush you, just to jump right out.
Yeah, to ambush you, yeah.
No, that's pretty similar to, the LBL, when that one was up in the tree and you got him in the tree, didn't you? Or was that your dad? Your dad got him. Your dad got him in the tree.
Yeah, my dad got him in the tree. I got him coming to the tree. Or I think he is going to that same tree.
That's insane. So now when you go up to Alaska, do you don't go through Canada to get up that way? You go around over to the West Coast and then go up through that way? Or?
Well, yeah, most of the time we fly, so most of the time we fly around out over the ocean and go up, but we can if we need to fly through Canada, but most of the time we don't.
Okay.
We go out through Portland and fly up.
So what was the size of these guys? Were they pretty big, or?
These was just average 7'2", 7'3", something like that, 400 pounds.
Wild or breeding program?
Let me look at I've got my computer in front of me, and I can tell you, I got my notes in front of me. They were 2 was wild and 1 tagged.
Okay. So what do you think, that one that was out of the breeding program just kind of got with those in with two wild, and
probably just fell in with the 2 wild ones, and
kind of like a kid when they get in with a bad crowd.
Yep. There you go.
Yep. So that was a fairly easy one for you. Most of them.
Yeah. Most of them don't go like that. I mean, a lot of the hunts is over in 2 days, like that. 2 or 3 days at most. The Georgia hunt ended last night. We got it. They wrapped the Georgia hunt up last night with the doctor down in Georgia. I can't go into much detail with it right now till I get the paperwork cleared and get everything signed off. But they did catch up with a group of 5, and they was able to take all 5 out, and that's about as far as I can go right now.
Right.
I don't know. I hadn't been to the to see if it's see how many's tagged or untagged. They hadn't made it back yet. They're flying in now, so I will see them tomorrow, and I'll see the bodies of them tomorrow. So of the Dogman.
Yep.
And I'll know more tomorrow. I won't get it signed out tomorrow, but it'll be a couple of weeks before I get it all cleared.
All right.
But
oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I thought you were all set with that because you couldn't share any more info.
Yeah.
We had talked every time we do one of these, me and Bill talk for a little bit, and I let him know, hey, this is, I've been reading about this and checking this out. And, one thing that I was reading that I kind of found interesting was, it was a quick little story I'll share, not tonight, but with I'll probably narrate it maybe tonight and have a second upload out. I was telling Bill that, but there was a encounter that I read about that happened in Louisiana, and I didn't get a chance to share this with you, but the person was calling it a wolf man, and I was reading it, and it sounded more like a werewolf because the woman who it happened to she said there was no tail and stuff. Now, then that got me thinking about the Rougarou and Louisiana. That just seems like a really dense area, and it's kind of steeped in their culture. Is the Rougarou, Dogman, werewolf, whatever, I'm sure they call, if they see a Dogman, the Rougarou. If they see a werewolf, they call it a Rougarou. Have you had a lot of cases down in Louisiana?
Yeah, we get a good many cases out of there. Most of them are nuisance cases, not as far as life losses.
Right. Like farm chickens and stuff like that disappearing?
Yeah. Yeah. Most of them are like that as far as animals are concerned. The breeding program animals came out of Louisiana in 1952. They came out of Houma, Louisiana.
Yep.
And, they are, there's probably 4 to 5 sightings or reports come out of there every 2 weeks, but they're nuisance.
Okay.
Animals.
Because there's just so much dense area for them to hide,
Yeah, there's so much, the swamps. And another thing you got to look at, these animals or creatures, the werewolf, your Dogman, and your Bigfoot, are going to stay close to water. That's one thing they're going to stay close to. When you get out into Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, all these places that don't have a whole lot of water, where there is water in these states, that's where you're going to find your denser populations of these animals. That's where there's going to be more of them than any place else. Now you get up in the Appalachian Mountains, Rockies, Sierras, all these places where there's streams, there's mountain runoff from snows, all this where there's plenty of water, they're spread out all over the place. They're everywhere.
Right.
And
so that brings a question to mind, or like a kind of an assumption almost, is like when you said like Texas, Arizona, and sometimes it seems like there's a lot of cases of sightings near rural areas or cities at night, and that's probably because it's their best opportunity to get to the water without being seen. That is that pretty accurate, or? That's
pretty accurate. They use the nighttime cover to put us on to use herself for camouflage.
Okay. Now the another quick question I was thinking of, when because you've given the detailed description, the Dogman has canine-like legs, the werewolf has more human-like legs. I'm just constantly thinking of just different questions, and I store them in my brain, and then I forget them, and then I remember them. The ones that we see that run great on all fours, that would seem like it would be the Dogman, but can the werewolf run just as good as the Dogman on all fours, even though it has the human legs, or?
No, it can't.
Okay.
It can't. Not on all fours.
Okay. So he's pretty much bipedal running, is he?
Well, he can run on all fours, but he don't run as often on all fours as he will on two legs.
So kind of like the Bigfoot.
Two legs.
Right,
yeah.
Okay. Because the Bigfoot can run on all fours, but really doesn't, as often.
He don't run as often.
So the ones that we see, the ones that people see that are running at high speeds
on all fours, it's usually your Dogman.
Okay. All right.
That's another factor that they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Couple other things. I was thinking. Oh yeah. The I don't know. I was stirred around something, and a lot of people wanted to be like, oh well, what army would invade us and this and that, and how my brain works, because I'm always thinking about paranormal, and I seldom talk about alien activity. I was into it when I was younger. I still like to hear encounters of that kind. But I was wondering if I don't know if you can share it with us, but I was wondering if there was ever to be, or if this was ever thought of by the government, just in case a invasion of the alien race. This would be a perfect way to take them out, would be the Dogman, the werewolf. It'd be a pretty good fight, and that's what I was thinking. I was like, well, that would be like the one army that we would use them on, would be like if something.
Well, that would be a different. It was thought of for that, but it was more thought of for the the Russians and Chinese had just signed that big treaty together.
Okay.
So, just so people kind of look at something. I didn't say that, but.
All right. So, I know a couple subscribers had asked about if these creatures were used by the government to take out Cartel. I don't really think I think maybe if there was just a rogue encounter, because the Cartel, they're in the jungles all the time, that these things just stumble across and wipe them out. And, that'd be a great thing to use them on too. But, you've been saying like that you don't use them as, so it's probably just a chance encounter.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
There's a lot of things I'd like to use them on.
Yeah.
Really and truly. Oh boy.
All right. So, I do have some subscriber questions that you had checked out, and sent me. I know that there's, great questions. Everybody's questions are really good. So, but, Wolfka's got a couple of questions, and they're about Sebastian. And I know Sebastian has become like an icon for this channel now. And so, William, a question about Sebastian. Does he recognize his former children when he sees them?
Yeah, he knows them. We've had them come back, when I call them back, when they get out of the line or something, and I call them back in, just testing their chips to make sure that they recognize that they're supposed to come back when we call them in. And we'll take the females by. I don't take the males by, but I take the females by, and they respond to him and know that that's who brought them into this world. So yes, they recognize him, and he responds back to them. So yeah, he recognizes them.
Okay. Does he have a connection to him, or?
I won't say it's a strong connection, but he does have a connection with all of them.
All right. And then, okay, what is he like when you rotate his wives out? Does he have a connection with any certain female, or, does he keep one specific?
No, he just, when we put one in there that he hasn't been with, he gets more excited towards them than he does one that he's been with more than one time.
So he's just a horny old dog then, huh?
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
He's just a dirty old man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy that he is, almost, there's no way of knowing his exact age, but going by 80 years old and him still being, active like that, that's insane. I'm sure a lot of men that age would die to not take that blue pill.
Yep.
Do any of the two, Dogman, or I'm going to elaborate a little bit on that question, or because he asks, do they fear entering the wild again? Does the Dogman or the werewolf, or do they have any apprehension on going back to the wild? Like, do they after chipped and stuff?
The older females on the werewolves, we put them out the back gate right here in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And they usually stay right here close, because the security guards always that walked outside of the perimeter, they claim that they walk up to them all the time and they'll walk guard duty with the guards, just to be close to the guards. So there must be an apprehension about leaving the area. But they're having to make it on their own because we're not feeding them outside the gates.
Right.
And then Sebastian has actually told me that if I was to put him back into the wild, that he don't think he could make it in the wild now.
Yeah, he's almost become institutionalized. He's
Yes.
lost all of
He
his.
don't. He said he didn't think that he could make it in the wild if I was to put him back out there. So, as far as he will die in the enclosures unless I retire and this, try to make something different happen, which I don't. I trust him, but I don't trust him, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Who's
to say something wouldn't happen? And,
to you or him?
Yeah, well, to him and him go crazy one night and something happened.
Yeah. Yeah. He asks again. He asks about how often does the staff go in and clean up the enclosures? Now, when you had mentioned this a while ago, do they clean up the enclosure every time they rearrange it and do the landscaping part of that?
Yes, in the breeding pens, they clean them every time that they rearrange them and carry them to a different pen. And then on the other ones, they go in there every week because there's so many in a enclosure that they have to do it every week. Like the Dogman,
yep.
There might be 60 to 80 in an enclosure.
Now, do they take them out, or does someone do you heard that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, have to take them from one to the other.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, how long is that process? That's probably not. I mean, you got 60 Dogman or 60 werewolves in an enclosure. That's probably an all-day affair almost.
Well, just take them from one to the other.
Yeah. Okay. My question, I'm gonna get off on that because when you were talking, you mentioned the breeding program. When a baby is born, are they born in the enclosure, or let's say a female werewolf Dogman is pregnant? Are they taken out of that enclosure and put into a special, prenatal or enclosure to be taken care of? Are the babies separated from the adults? How long?
Once a female becomes pregnant, they're put into a different enclosure with just females. And after they're born, they go into a different enclosure with the mama and the babies into a smaller enclosure. And it'll be a 5-acre enclosure, and there'll be maybe 8 females in there with their babies.
Okay. All right. Now, Victor Porter, this is an interesting question. Why don't we hear about more dug-up graves and grave desecration, since the Dogman likes to live in or around graveyards?
Most graveyards have caretakers, and the caretakers just fill these holes in instead of calling family members and telling them that, hey, something's happened to so-and-so's grave. And that's the reason people don't know about something happened to a grave. And a lot of times they'll be in the woods, just inside the woods, and they'll dig holes. A lot of times they won't go into the graveyard, but they'll be just inside the woods and dig these holes. But more times than not, they'll dig 18-inch down on top of the grave, and that's where they'll lay, sleep.
Right, it's not like they're destroying the headstone or anything. So
No.
it would make the
No,
caretaker look bad. So the caretaker's just going to cover it up as fast as possible, and as long as there's no damage to the headstone, just move on.
That's right. That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. It ain't like they're doing damage to the headstones.
Right.
No, they're not doing nothing like that. They're just digging down into the ground, and they're not, 18, 20 inches is as deep as they're doing. They might get down underneath the edge of a headstone or something, but they're not destroying anything.
Okay.
And once they say that, most of them that's got caretakers, they'll just bring dirt in and fill it up. Move on.
Brian Williams has a good question. William, are you able to get through most of your hunts without injury?
Oh yeah, most of my hunts I get through without any trouble. I mean, up till about 2 years ago, I never got hurt, hardly ever, unless it was just something major. I never got hurt or scratched or anything unless, it was like the Wyoming hunt or me and Ellis this hunt, something where, major damage, 100+ stitches or more. I'm talking, and I can count on two hands how many major incidents I've had. And for this line of work, I consider that probably pretty good.
Yeah, I'd
my dad, he never called and told us when he got hurt. And, he was the same way as me. He never got near as many, but he never got into situations I was in. So he had several instances where he told me afterwards that he got 150+ stitches like 7 or 8 times.
Wow.
And that's pretty big. That's a pretty big cut to get that many stitches.
Yeah, that's
most people in life goes through and might get 5, 6, maybe 10 stitches. Yeah, I've had over 1,000 at one time. So not bragging on it neither.
Right.
But
this question from Jeff Robinson, I'm gonna ask the question, but I know a lot of subscribers as of late had some sort of input, not on the question, but it's been brought up a lot. Jeff Robinson asks, what do you do if a game warden doesn't take you seriously? Then what? And I've read a couple other questions, like you heard, or one person said, I've heard of a story where the police didn't even take them serious and kind of laughed it off. What do they do then at that avenue if that ever happens?
Go through the process and do the process the right way. First step, call the police. First step, call the police. Sheriff's Department. Actually, call the Sheriff's Department, I guess. Well, if you're inside the city limits, you got to call the police. If you're in the county, you got to call the Sheriff's Department. Tell them exactly what you see. Don't lie to them. Yeah, if they ridicule you, you're gonna have to take it. That's part of it. Don't lie. Do not lie. Second step, if they tell you that they can't do nothing about it, ask them if they're going to call the sheriff, if they're going to call the game warden. Ask them who you need to call. Ask them if they're going to call somebody for you. If they don't, call the game warden. Once you call the game warden will come out. And the game warden, you tell them what happened. And they will look around. And they know what to look for. And they've got our number. And if they see signs of it, they will call us. They may make jokes about it. But in all seriousness, they know to call us. They know to call us.
Are the jokes and like the ridicule, is that more or less to cover up the ongoing, just kind of cover everything up? Is that what it is? Or,
They shouldn't ridicule you or nothing. They should do their job proper just like we do.
Okay.
It shouldn't be that way. They should take their job as serious as we take ours.
All right. Okay. Deb Feo wants to know, the Adirondack Mountains in New York State. If a group of 7 hikers or more are traveling on remote trails, are they relatively safe?
Hold on just a second, Jeff.
Sure. All right. I know you had to go for a second. Deb Feo asked, the Adirondack Mountains in upstate New York, if a group of 7 or more hikers are traveling on a remote trail, are they relatively safe?
Yeah. Anytime you travel in numbers, you're safe.
Okay.
Safer.
Okay.
And, you're safe.
All right.
I want everybody to enjoy yourself in the woods. And any time that you have an encounter with one of these creatures, it's going to be a chance encounter. That's all it's going to be. It's a chance encounter. That's all it will be.
Right. The rest of her question is like, more or less, she's kind of asking if a hot spot, but what is the best defense? Well, that's been answered a lot of times, and I'm going to just, if I can answer it real quick, is just to show that I've been listening. You just instantly stop, put your head down, do not make eye contact, slowly, don't turn your back, but slowly back away out of that area. And is that pretty much it?
Yeah. Watch your sides. Watch your sides and watch behind you just to make sure that if it's Dogman, they'll try to get behind you and to your sides is where they like to come at you from. If it's Dogman.
Now, okay, I'm just going to put in a for instance. I'm in the woods. I'm hiking. And, with a bear, you're to yell loudly. And then if it does attack, I believe you curl up in a fetal position, cover your throat, your vital organs. So let's say I'm in the woods. I've got a Dogman, 3 of them. I'm backing away. I'm making no eye contact. I'm doing everything. One hits me from the side. What then? I'm pretty much screwed, or is there something that, that you suggest doing?
If they attack, you've got to fight. Yeah. If they attack, you've got to fight. At that point, they've made the choice for you. At that point, you've got to fight.
Pretty much go for
flight. There's no flight at that time. It's fight then. No way to run. No time to run. Go for its eyes. Go for its eyes is the biggest thing to go for then, because you're in hand to hand. And hope you can get its eyes, poke its eyes, do anything you can do to get at its eyes. That's its weakest point then, is its eyes.
Okay. So if like, okay, let's say I'm just the average person who doesn't have a gun, doesn't have a firearm, just wants to go hiking. Is it a good policy to maybe invest in, like one of those walking sticks that are tipped at the bottom, just something to have a collapsible? That way, if you do get in a predicament, you've got at least some sort of,
I would recommend carrying something. At that point, anything's better than nothing.
Okay.
Anything's better than nothing at that point if you run upon one of the big three. And as far as curling up in a ball, that's only good for like a grizzly or a brown bear. If it's a black bear, you need to make yourself as big as possible. Holler, stand up, spread your arms out. Curling up in a ball's no good with a black bear.
Okay. All right.
So remember that.
Now,
you're talking about like the ski sticks that you use.
Yeah, they're kind of like a collapsible ski stick. I think that'd be,
them walking sticks.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I would think that would be better than nothing. Absolutely.
Okay. So, all right. Now,
that was something good to bring up.
Yeah, because I
really hadn't thought about that.
You got to have some sort of preparedness, and like you said, like a bear spray is not going to work. It's going to piss them off, and it's going to get back in your face as well.
Yeah,
but,
you need something just in case. But the chances of you seeing one of these things is 99.99% of the time you ain't gonna see one.
Okay. All right. I kind of got. We went to the questions real quick because I kind of got off the. I kind of lost questions. I kind of went back on format. But I came back, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that one time, if we can. You had mentioned when you were hunting, I want to say New Mexico or the Arizona, and the Cadejo or whatever, the black dog, and the hunter kept you went to his home, you were out of water. Is that something you can talk about right now? Or
I can.
A lot of people would like to hear that story because, there was a lot of feedback on that. I had read it.
Tracking a Bigfoot.
Yes.
Yeah. I was in Texas, I think, though, wasn't I? I believe I was in Texas. I can pull it up real quick. I got it right here in front of me. Give me just a second. Can you pause it just a second?
Yeah, I'll pause it. Hang on one second. All right. I know you had to go for a second. Deb Feo asked, the Adirondack Mountains in upstate New York, if a group of 7 or more hikers are traveling on a remote trail, are they relatively safe?
Yeah. Anytime you travel in numbers, you're safe.
Okay.
Safer.
Okay.
And you know, in your say.
All right.
I want everybody to enjoy yourself in the woods. And any time that you have an encounter with one of these creatures, it's going to be a chance encounter. That's all it's going to be. It's a chance encounter. That's all it will be.
Right. The rest of her question is like, more or less, she's kind of asking if a hot spot, but what is the best defense? Well, that's been answered a lot of times, and I'm going to just, if I can answer it real quick, is just to show that I've been listening. You just instantly stop, put your head down, do not make eye contact, slowly, don't turn your back, but slowly back away out of that area. And is that pretty much it?
Yeah. Watch your sides. Watch your sides and watch behind you just to make sure that if it's Dogman, they'll try to get behind you, and to your sides is where they like to come at you from. If it's Dogman.
Now, okay, I'm just going to put in a for instance. I'm in the woods. I'm hiking, and you know, with a bear, you're to yell loudly, and then if it does attack, I believe you curl up in a fetal position, cover your throat, your vital organs. So let's say I'm in the woods. I've got a Dogman. 3 of them. I'm backing away. I'm making no eye contact. I'm doing everything. One hits me from the side. What then? I'm pretty much screwed, or is there something that, you know, that you suggest doing?
If they attack, you've got to fight. Yeah. If they attack, you've got to fight. At that point, they've made the choice for you. At that point, you've got to fight.
Pretty much go for
flight. There's no flight at that time. It's fight then. No way to run. No time to run. Go for its eyes. Go for its eyes is the biggest thing to go for then, because you're in hand to hand. And hope you can get its eyes, poke its eyes, do anything you can do to get at its eyes. That's its weakest point then, is its eyes.
Okay. So if like, you know, like, okay, let's say I'm just the average person who doesn't have a gun, doesn't have a firearm, just wants to go hiking. Is it a good policy to maybe invest in, you know, like one of those walking sticks that are tipped at the bottom, you know, just something to have a collapsible? That way, if you do get in a predicament, you've got at least some sort of, you know.
I mean, I would recommend carrying something. I mean, at that point, anything's better than nothing.
Okay.
Anything's better than nothing at that point if you run upon one of the big 3. And as far as curling up in a ball, that's only good for like a grizzly or a brown bear. If it's a black bear, you need to make yourself as big as possible. Holler, stand up, spread your arms out. Curling up in a ball's no good with a black bear.
Okay. All right.
So remember that.
Now,
you're talking about like the ski sticks that you use.
Yeah, they're kind of like a collapsible ski stick. You know, I think that'd be, you know,
them walking sticks.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I would think that would be better than nothing. Absolutely.
Okay. So, all right. Now,
that was something good to bring up.
Yeah, because I
really
mean,
hadn't thought about that.
You got to have some sort of preparedness, and you know, like you said, like a bear spray is not going to work. It's going to piss them off, and it's going to get back in your face as well.
Yeah,
but,
you need something just in case. But the chances of you seeing one of these things is 99.99% of the time you ain't gonna see one.
Okay. All right. I kind of got. I mean, we went to the questions real quick because I kind of got off the. I kind of lost questions. You know, I kind of went back on format. But I came back, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that one time, if we can. You had mentioned when you were hunting, I want to say New Mexico or the Arizona, and the Cadejo or whatever, the black dog, and the hunter kept you went to his home, you were out of water. Is that something you can talk about right now? Or because a lot of people would like to hear that story because, you know, I mean, there was a lot of feedback on that. I had read it.
Tracking a Bigfoot.
Yes.
Yeah. I was in Texas, I think, though, wasn't I? I believe I was in Texas. I can pull it up real quick. I got it right here in front of me. Give me just a second. Can you pause it just a second?
Yeah, I'll pause it. Hang on one second.